It's happening again. And as the Milwaukee Bucks prepare for their season opener on Wednesday, a brand new report has revealed some devastating information surrounding Khris Middleton and his injury and his availability on opening night. So to break that down, discuss what it can mean going forward, as well as Gary Trent Jr. He shed some more light ahead of opening night on what swayed his decision to join the Milwaukee Bucks on what is a steal of a contract for the Bucks. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, but before we get into it, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We're less than 50 subscribers away from 1,000. It's been a goal of ours for a while, so if you'd hit that button, it would mean the world to myself. But let's just dive right into it. Shams dropped a bomb today, and it's an unfortunate one if you're a Bucks fan, as we all know the Bucks are playing the Philadelphia 76ers on Wednesday, and like we've been discussing here on the channel, I wasn't very optimistic about Khris Middleton playing in game one. I made a video on it a couple days ago. I said they'll probably hold him out, but I wasn't sure. I was still holding a little bit of optimism, but a report just dropped from Shams. You can see this here. Milwaukee Bucks star Khris Middleton is expected to miss Wednesday's season opener versus the Sixers. Middleton is cut to start the NBA season as he rehabs from his offseason ankle surgeries. Bucks are cautiously progressing Middleton towards a return. So yeah, Middleton's out to start the NBA season, which is very unfortunate. And again, we kind of knew, we had a feeling this was going to be the case for Khris Middleton. He had his surgeries in the offseason, and he's been dealing with injuries for a very long time, all of these different things. But we were hoping that by the time opening night comes around, which was, of course, in 2 days, that he'd be able to get in. But the writing was kind of on the wall here. After he missed the last couple of preseason games, specifically the last one, and he was still battling his injuries, progression wasn't going as fast as we wanted, and as Doc Rivers and John Horst and all the the front office wanted, it was kind of inevitable at this point that he was going to miss opening night. You can see this here. Again, he's missing opening night. The three-time All-Star would be out as he rehabs from his off-season ankle surgeries. And you can see this here. It says the Bucks are cautiously progressing Middleton towards a return, which means it might not be in the immediate future that he does return. It might not even be within the first week of the season. It might be later than that. And as we know, he did not appear in any preseason games and still hasn't been cleared to participate in the team's 5-on-5 scrimmages at practice. He had been participating in 3-on-3 scrimmages for most of the preseason, but Bucks coach Doc Rivers told reporters over the weekend that he's been limited in practice since last Wednesday. And the fact that he hasn't scrimmed in a 5-on-5 is, again, he is clearly dealing with something, his surgeries, and it's not going as well as they thought, because all signs were pointing, if you rewind back to a month or two ago, they were all saying that, okay, he's going to get the surgeries done, he's going to be good to go for opening night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Finally, a season of fairly healthy Khris Middleton. But now the narratives are going to be around the fact that he's always hurt, as now he is once again injured. And some of the bright spots here is that they do have Taurean Prince, like I mentioned in the video a couple days ago, to fill in that spot. They signed him for this reason, to fill in, in theory, as a backup to Khris Middleton, but in this case, he'll be the starter. And you think at all the injuries that Khris Middleton had, he had some ankle sprains last season against the Suns, like we all remember. He missed 16 games, worst ankle sprain of his career. He averaged 15, 5, and 5 during the regular season. And then again, he underwent surgery, if you think back to right when the season ended, or near after the season ended. Back in May, he had his surgeries, and that's when we were thinking, okay, the timeline's pretty good. You have several months now to rehab your ankle surgery. And he did not. Clearly, it didn't work as well. Again, he's aging now. He has a ton of injuries. He's very injury-prone at this point. There's no denying that. He's only appeared in 88 regular season games between the past 2 years. And in April 22, he sprained his knee during the Bucks' first-round playoff series, and then also had wrist surgery during the 2022 offseason. So we think about all the injuries that Khris Middleton has had and continues to deal with. And then 2023 he had his knee surgery, and of course he had his surgeries on his ankle this offseason. But he's now 34 years old, and I think it's I'm not going to say he's not going to be out for a super long time, we'd hope, but the time for him to continue to be an elite not role player, but an elite starter in this league is, if it's not already gone, it's definitely on the way out. I still think he can be a solid player, but even last year during his 40 or so games, he only put up 15, 5, and 5, which is still good, especially when you have a team that is as loaded as the Milwaukee Bucks, at least from star power. Because, you look at it now, Dame, Gary, Khris, Giannis, Brook Lopez. And as we look ahead to the matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers, now you got to replace Khris Middleton here with Taurean Prince. And that means that everybody slides up a notch. So you're going to probably see Gary Trent Jr. play more minutes, even though he is going to be starting anyway. Pat Connaughton is going to be figures to have a much bigger role in specifically Wednesday's game, but as long as Khris Middleton's out, he's going to be in there. He's going to have to play a big role. His name has been circulated in a ton of trade talks, but it's about time now that he actually goes out there and actually hoops, which he didn't do last season. And then hopefully the biggest piece here is Taurean Prince. He's going to slide into the starting lineup. Obviously started a ton of games for the Lakers last season. Hopefully he can come out and be better than he was with the Lakers. Again, we know the Darwin Ham and Taurean Prince relationship. I'm not going to say that's going to sway Doc Rivers' opinion, but he is going to start the year with the Milwaukee Bucks as in the starting lineup, given Khris Middleton's injury. At least that's what all signs are pointing to, unless they go with a big lineup. But I don't think they're going to go do that. I think they're going to put in Taurean Prince as the small forward. And again, we have some other pieces, and that's why you make these signings in the offseason. You knew that Khris Middleton wasn't going to play 82 games. You knew that he was going to be battling injuries the whole year. You have Taurean Prince now. You have Trent Jr., who's going to be starting for you. So there is some good signs, and ultimately, that's why you make these depth signings. And as we look at the schedule here, it's an interesting schedule. So obviously you have the Sixers, and then we have a couple of easy games. In theory, there's no easy games in the NBA, but a couple of easier matchups against the Bulls and then Brooklyn. But then you play Boston on Monday night in the second night of a back-to-back. So if there's any game for him to strive towards, I think it would be a game, maybe the Sunday game against Brooklyn or the game against Boston, because they're going to need bodies at that point. A second night of a back-to-back. It is early in the season, but every single game matters, especially when you're trying to, in theory, for the Milwaukee Bucks, their goal is to win the Eastern Conference, and winning any game against Boston would definitely help them towards that goal. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. Some unfortunate news to start the week. And as the regular season is now 2 days away, this is not exactly what we wanted to hear. But changing tones here for a minute, Trent Jr. came out very recently and basically explained why he took a huge pay cut from Milwaukee. And it's interesting to talk about it. And I wanted to talk about it because obviously he's about to make his Bucks debut in a couple days, about 48 hours. And he gave some interesting insight. He said, "It's a great opportunity. I'm 25 and I still have years to grow. Great place to find a home base and be a part of something long term. It's an excellent organization with great players, a solid front office, and good energy. So it's been great so far. I'm here to win a championship. Everything I do is about helping them reach that goal." And the interesting piece here is when he said that it's a great place to find a home base and be part of something long term. So maybe that's a hint towards him wanting to re-sign depending how this season goes in the future. We know he wants to win. The Bucks are in a very good spot to make a push for that. Obviously, they have Dame. They have one of the best players in the league in Giannis. But it's nice to see the players come out and be excited to play for any team, but specifically in this case, the Milwaukee Bucks. And again, he is only 25. It seems like he's a lot older than he actually is because he's been around for a while. But when you look how he could factor into the starting lineup going forward surrounding Damian Lillard, because that's the big question mark now, how he's going to blend and how he's going to mesh and fit with Dame and Giannis. He's a great on-ball creator. He can space the floor well, very solid three-point shooter, and he can play some D as well. He's going to have to step up in the defensive end. Again, we saw it last season with the Raptors. If you go back and look at some of the footage, he was a bit lazy and lackadaisical at defense at times because, the Raptors weren't a very good team. But now that he's playing on a team that doesn't need as much offense, especially when Middleton's healthy, you have Damian Lillard, one of the best scoring point guards in the league, and Giannis, obviously, arguably the best player in the league. You're at a point now where you just need him to play defense more than create, but at the same time, when Dame goes out and when people are struggling, foul trouble, and the inevitable that's going to happen, Trent Jr. is going to be a nice piece there who's going to be starting throughout the whole year and finally gets a chance to start again. He's going to be important and pretty integral to this team. So very excited to see his debut, his Bucks debut that is, on Wednesday. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this. Some interesting news, and hopefully Khris Middleton will be back very soon.